It's hard. It seems like everyone on here are kids.
What's
It's crazy.
up? I know.
So crazy.
Hey, what's up?
Hey Eric, how's it going? The goat guy.
I'm the go- yeah, I'm the Eric the Goat guy. I'm on YouTube. Got 5,000 subscribers.
Nice.
I'm
I want to
checking.
check it out. What do you do on
Yeah,
YouTube?
I make videos.
What kind of videos? Let's see. Eric the goat guy.
Yeah, I have a goat.
So what are you into?
I don't know, like traveling, walking around with my goat, going to
Oh,
festivals.
oh, you actually have a goat?
Yeah,
Oh
I'm
shit.
on.
Wait a minute. That's
Yeah,
you?
yeah, I have a goat.
Oh, nice. Stop playing.
Yeah,
That's
I have a
big with
goat
them.
on my back, man. Like literally, all you don't even have to say Eric the Goat Guy. You just put Goat Guy in, and that's me. I'm like famous.
Dude, there's a
Everybody
fucking
knows me.
There's a meme
I'm
about you. One of my favorite
yeah. The
memes.
meme. Yeah, my hobbies include LSD and dogs.
Nice. That's awesome. Let me
Yeah.
ask you, just LSD?
No, I don't actually do LSD. Is a meme. It's like a lie. That's like
Oh,
memes are all memes are lies, and but like partial truths. But that's why they're
yeah. I
funny.
mean, it's cultural, right? It like conveys cultural information about our culture. I like
Like
memes. Memes are interesting.
most memes are like only half true and half a lie.
It's like just like life.
What I mean, the meme is like I do rescue stray dogs, and I am psychedelic, but I don't really do LSD. So
Okay.
it's kind of like, and my goat is not a dog, is a goat, but like I do help animals, so that's not really like that. That is like a partial truth, so it's believable, you
Okay,
know.
I'm looking at this one. Why is Trump getting impeached? My theory. I can't listen to it now, so I'm gonna ask you, what's your
What
theory?
I think my theory is that the BLM people that was like knocking down the gates and messing with the cops all summer,
Hmm.
like took the signs and changed it to say Trump, and then stormed the White House just to get Trump impeached.
Do you think he deserved to get impeached, or?
I think he had nothing to do with that. I think there's like they did it was all a setup.
Hmm, that's interesting because a lot of people, the Proud Boys themselves were there, and they orchestrated it. And prior to all that going down, Trump met with the leader of the Proud Boys, Enriqueo, and he did say like, "Hey, let's march on the Capitol." So, I mean, I find your take very interesting.
I mean, I think maybe he did set it up. Maybe he didn't. I don't know, but I mean, just because like I mean, I mean, he's a president, so like, I don't understand. Like, I don't. It doesn't make sense. Like, the whole thing didn't make sense. Like, you know?
So here's my theory on the whole take. If you want to hear it,
Yeah.
I'd be glad to share it. So I do think that there's something funny going on, like within our government, where some factions of the government are trying to sow discord and division within our country, and the CIA has been known to do this. They've done it before. They've done it in other countries, and I don't know, like you know who Charles Manson is, right?
No, I don't know Charlie Man. Who? Charlie who?
Charles Manson.
Oh, that guy, the hippie back in the '70s that tried to like take over the country and shit,
Well, he's the
and
one
try to
who
like,
like had the
and then he
cult
started,
and
and then yeah, he had a big cult, and he tried to take over the country, and then like people were stealing his music and shit, and then he like started like killing the people that were stealing his like music. and shit.
Well,
Because
well, Charles Manson was he was involved with all the murders back in the day, the Tate and LaBianca murders.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah,
it's
he got mad at these people. The reason that he killed, the reason they supposedly he wanted the people dead, because he's like they stole his records, like his
yeah, I mean
copyright to his music.
that's the narrative of what people put out. However, there's a book that came out not too long ago that highlights that. Do you know what MK Ultra is?
No.
So MK Ultra was like a mind control program, and this is proven fact. That the CIA was using to see if they could use LSD to control people's minds, right? Because they wanted to weaponize it
Oh yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
as warfare.
Yeah, and that's
So
actually
some,
how they came up with LSD, because they was trying to figure out a way to control people's minds, and then they came up with LSD and as like as part of that.
yeah, well, so so he was part of MK Ultra, which was a program that was implemented, I believe, in the '60s. Well, it was implemented in the late '50s, and it was a program by the CIA that they were trying to use this and see if they could use this as forms of mind control, right? To create like the Manchurian candidate, like the person who, with a signal or a sign, would just split into a different personality and follow on command. Now, this program ran for a while. It ran into the '70s, and you know the Unabomber, right? Ted Kaczynski, the guy that sent all those packages that blew up.
Yeah.
Well, he studied out. He was actually a professor at Harvard at the time, and he himself was also part of MK Ultra, right? He, Charles Manson, and various other people. They were the ones that were experimented on, and what led to that was Ted Kaczynski and Charles Manson. And there's a book that came out about Charles Manson, and it it covers this extensively. So the government he was on probation at the time, right? Um, he was put in jail. He got out of jail, and the government was basically allowing him to commit these crimes and violate his probation by traveling across the country. And they were watching him and watching what he was doing. Now, like the interesting thing about all this is Charles Manson was trying to push a race war, right, between the blacks and the whites. And his whole idea was that he was gonna be the one who came out on top of the race war, right? He was gonna start the race war, he was gonna go underground, and when it was over, he was gonna come back out and he was just gonna be the leader of all the white people. Now, look at what's going on now, right, with the division in this country. And I think, as crazy as that fucking guy was, you know, it seems like he was kind of on point with what he said, that there's going to be a race war, there's going to be division in this country. And I think there are factions in the government that actually create discord and create disharmony amongst us because they
Oh yeah.
they
Like so,
they need.
I definitely think the whole race war that we have this year was a complete manufacture, like because of the government. Like, the government definitely used, you know, the tension between race to create more tension in our
Yeah,
society
and
to push their agenda.
yeah, and so at first it was the terrorists, right? Like the Muslims and everything. See, like my whole theory is in order for a government to exist, they need an enemy, they need a threat. And so we've already exhausted the threat of Russia. We've already exhausted the threat of Muslim terrorists. And now the new threat is the people. and in order for a government to actually exist and have control, they need that enemy. And it seems now that the enemy has become the people, and it's crazy. And to be honest with you, I don't trust one politician.
Yeah, so we very much to making ourselves the enemy, so everybody fear each other, and that might be the whole reason. A lot of this stuff is going on. They
Yeah,
manufacture. A lot of people say they manufacture this disease in a laboratory. You know,
yeah, I
um,
wouldn't put that past like the Chinese government to do that, and I wouldn't put it past the U.S. government to be complicit in it. Um, but there's so much tension and there's so much divide in this country right now, and the politicians are just sitting back and they're really enjoying it, and they're watching the show. They're watching the whole country be torn apart.
and it's so crazy. Like it's so crazy because they like why are they so? Why is everybody not really talking about it? But like, why is everybody like, oh yeah, this guy's not coming back in office? Like, you really think he's going that people want him back in office? You really think he's going to be able to run for office and win again? Like, how messed up do we have to be as a country to be able to have this guy run for office again and win? Like, how bad is the guy that we have in office now going to be that Donald Trump is going to even be like able to win in 4 years or 8 years or
It's a
whatever?
high pot. It's in the current state of affairs. Unfortunately, it's a huge possibility for that to be the case. Just simply because like they keep putting out these crazy ass conspiracy theories, um, and they're confusing the people, and the media loves it. And another little piece of information, there was a CIA program called Mockingbird, and
Yeah, and you know
Mockingbird.
what's going to happen is I really think people are going to be like, "Fuck this new president. We want our old president back because at least he was better than this shit." You know,
Well, I
and that's
mean, what? Okay, let me ask your opinion. What did he do that made this country better
I
in four
mean,
years?
he did work on a space program and he did freaking help build up the economy and
Okay.
he helps and he did work on relations with China and everything else to make, well, our country more sustainably financially. He worked on a lot of things that make our country way more sustainable as far as finance, you know? And
How?
I mean, he made like trade agreements with China that's like supposed to be more sustainable for our economic future of our country.
Well, I mean,
Um,
he had a trade war with China, which kind of destabilized the economy a bit because a lot of our imported goods are made in China, right? So like if you start a trade war with China, China is already a self-sustained country. They don't really need us in order to boost up the value of their currency. So in him in him creating a trade war with China, he really just, he decimated the economy, man. I mean, I'm gonna speak about facts, like what he did ultimately was just to serve him and the people around him, and that's it. And that's what an oligarch is. And
yeah,
he's fascinated with Putin. He's fascinated with the oligarchy.
I mean,
But
I
on the
don't really
same,
like the guy. I get what you're saying, and I get what he's saying that he's them. He don't understand who we are. He didn't help he didn't really help the weed get published. He didn't help the freaking, money get out to the people. He don't really care about, the fact that we are facing, climate change. He don't, he's like, fuck climate change. It doesn't exist, you know. He's like,
Yeah.
he like he didn't, he's a very old man that is believing stuck in his old, you know, ways that like are like pretty much like a lot of his thinking is probably shit that his dad told him. You know?
Yeah, yeah, but he's not a stupid man though. That's the thing. That's the scary thing, right? Like we think he's a
Yeah.
stupid person, but he dumbs it down for the American people. But he knows what he's doing. Like
I
there's
mean,
certain levels of intelligence, right? There's intelligence
probably
where you
all the things you think about is shit that his dad taught him. And he probably respects his dad, a lot. And so that's why I think Trump have a very like old way of thinking. You know?
yeah. I mean, he's definitely a narcissist. He's definitely a narcissistic person who really only serves himself and serves the people that pledge allegiance to him. You know what I'm saying? And that's very divisive for this country. But at the same time, can we trust any politician at this point in time? And
Well,
in turn,
every politician is 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 one way or another is only serving himself. I mean,
yeah.
eventually, we probably going to have that damn robot that is, that is now, the robot that became a citizen, and they mass producing them, and then they're going to outvote humans, and they're going to become a new government.
Well, here that's funny that you brought that up because I've thought about this for a little bit. And so our systems, right? Systems are inherently how do I say this? They're amoral, right? They're neither they're a systems are amoral in the sense where they don't have emotion. Like the system isn't supposed to be based off emotion. It's not supposed to necessarily be based off
Yeah,
morals. It's just a system. And now, like, I think that ultimately where we're headed is to be governed by artificial intelligence because that just seems to be the most plausible thing that's going to happen. And I think that people give up their control. I think people give up their autonomy because, they fear. It's all about fear, right? And people need to be led, but they're so confused right now and so scared. It's like it's it's like everyone's just going off of fear. And fear is
yeah,
one of
and
the
so and maybe AI will be more because AI is like if we all ran by AI and AI make all the decisions, then
yeah, but
we don't have
the
to worry
danger
about we don't have to worry about somebody a single person making up rules for them that are going to serve themselves. But who's going to make the problem is like who's going to make the AI that able to think what society needs most
see
effectively.
that's the thing. Like if we were ran on if our system of government was ran by artificial intelligence, then that would kind of take out the emotional aspect of it, right? And I think the emotional aspect is kind of important because yeah, we could go by laws and we could program a computer to follow laws, but there's also unjust laws, right? And there's things that are moral and there's things that are immoral. And an AI system may say, "Hey, like we're destroying the climate, and now we destroy you." And that there would be no emotion in there. It would just be going on um what is really better for the totality of existence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean we definitely can program the computer to understand human life as most important. Hopefully the machine is not just going to be like, oh, let's just delete humans because they destroying the planet. I don't think humans are destroying the planet because we are evil. we don't understand it. We don't believe it. We don't believe our action really happened. And the biggest problem with humans is that the fact that we're growing faster, the faster than than the planet is is big enough to handle. Like the amount of space that we need to survive, to grow enough
Mm.
food, and to be like you think, oh, I only need like a place big enough for me to lay down, but really you need way more than that because you need enough space to walk around, and then you also have to have enough space to grow your food, and you also have to have enough space to dispose of the water that you use, and also to create the energy that you make. And so every time you use the resources, that resource is connected to the land, and how much land is needed to create the resources, you know?
Yeah, that's
And
true. I think currently we have enough land on this planet to sustain to live in a sustainable way, but yet we're kind of like corralled into living in cities. And this isn't just by coincidence or happenstance. You know what I'm saying? Like the people are corralled to live in urban areas and suburban areas and city areas. And if you try to go off the grid, that's kind of considered illegal, which is crazy to me. This planet definitely has enough resources to sustain the population as it is. However, like what's driving, okay, so there's two different components about the environment, right? There's climate change and there's global warming. And neither of these things live exist separately, right? So like one plays off the other. Like the earth
well, the
goes
climate
through.
change. Well, climate change is okay. One is a is a condition of the other. So global warming is a condition of climate change. So like you
Yeah.
climate change, the climate is changing. One of the it's like got a cold, and one of your conditions is you have a fever. You
Hmm.
know, that's just one aspect of climate change is global warming. That's just one like symptom of
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So it's like the climate's gonna are automatically like we throughout the eons, the climate has changed repeatedly, right? But within the last course of the last, I'd say 200 years, that feedback system has exponentially gained more traction because of our actions, right? So it's going to change regardless, the climate. However, like these things in nature play
Yeah, but
out over
there's more
long.
than one. There's other symptoms. There's other causes, and also other symptoms to the environmental uh impact that we have on our planet. That is not
Almost.
just like the fact that we are deforestation. We got deforestation. We got pollution. We got um uh land, like what I was talking about is not proper use of land development and land usage
Mm,
is not being dealt properly. So like we use the land improperly, so we are deforest. That's another cause of deforestation. And we not use the land, so we build these inefficient farms that are
yeah.
and that takes so you go out to Kansas or you go out to Utah or Wyoming or anywhere in the Midwest, you got the entire state is covered in these inefficient farms that are that is great and all, but like we need to fit out technologies that make it more efficient. Like vertical farming, but vertical farming only can do so much. Like you got to fit out and then we also got so that's one of the biggest reasons that we like need to change the way we eat and the way we grow our food, and and that's something I have with. spent too much time thinking about. But that's just one aspect of a society that is, the things that like beyond a single person understanding, and that's one of the reasons that like AI might be beneficial to like understanding how to accomplish these overqualified goals, because like how do we be more efficient, but at the same time, like, we got something got to be actually effective, something that a quality of life. So we don't want to be just eating cardboard just because, even though it might be the most sustainable thing out there, you
Hmm.
know, or whatever, like, you know,
Yeah,
or like,
yeah.
or
We need.
eating algae. You don't want to be just drinking algae shakes for the rest of your life, even though that's like the most sustainable, nutritious food out there.
Yeah, so it
Algae
requires a
milkshakes.
balance, but it's unfortunate. Like there's a comparison to like if you put a frog in water and you put a frog in a pot of water and you turn the stove on. It's gonna get hot, but the frog's not gonna realize how hot it is until it's too late. And that's kind of like very much on point with the way we are as human beings. Like we're so complacent in our ways, and we have so many distractions, and it's not it, I think the onus and the responsibility is on the individual, right? Because we engage in these distractions and we engage in these behaviors that actually push the climate to go in a direction of more disarray and more disharmony.
Mhm.
We no longer live in harmony with nature. Like we live in cities where we're corralled like cattle in cities, and you know, and that's kind of that's really the fault of the people, because the people allow that to happen, and they allow it to happen because of fear, and they allow it to happen because of
And
comfort,
what's
right? Like
what's
we're
great is that what's great crazy is that Elon Musk is had understood all this from the beginning, and all of a sudden he become the biggest man on the planet with the biggest company on the planet, and he's like, okay, let's build solar panels for anybody have solar panels. Let's build off grid system for everybody. Like I built off like that's what I did for 3 months. Of built went out to like big like farms out in California. People were growing weed and all that kind of other shit, and just putting up
mm,
fucking solar panels and battery systems for their off grid farms, and freaking and installing and then also installing satellite dishes. And then I just installed a satellite dish like a week ago from Elon Musk, and so I'm like literally building these off grid systems for people. I actually built a whole. I mean, I built communities for people, and they fucking even though I'm the one that came in and fucking built the whole community for them, they fucking just like throw me out as soon as I was done, and I'm like, fine, I can leave. But the point
yeah,
is that
well,
it doesn't really matter because I can go down the street, go down the road, and build another community anyways, because you know what? Like, it doesn't matter because what I came there to do, I was already, I finished. So,
huh.
so
It's interesting. Like I don't know. I think human beings are real interesting. I think we're interesting creatures. I think that forums like this are good because it gives an insight to like other human beings and the way
it's
people think.
crazy how we bite the hand and feed us. Like, people all like get excited about buying stocks. So all of a sudden, everybody like, oh, let's buy these stocks, right? And then they figure out, okay, these people are like sorting stocks, so there are not enough stocks to fill all the stocks. So and then everybody buy up all the stocks, and then they get mad. Get mad at the very companies that made it possible for them to buy the stocks,
Mm.
right? Because
Yeah, but that.
because they ran out of stocks, and they're like, and then they act like it's some big conspiracy. In the end, it's like you guys knew there was a limited supply of stocks. You knew there was limited supply, and that's why it went up. And then you got mad because of the limited supply, and you can't get any more. And it's like, like, and I don't understand. Like the news and the media is all like keep sharing the post like everybody like it's a conspiracy. I'm like, it's not a conspiracy. It's fucking supply and demand, dude. Like, you
It's
know.
not a conspiracy. I think the media is like, I think people are getting into a tizzy because all of this started on Reddit. And it was people that didn't have experience in stocks, and they were causing hedge funds and billionaires to lose millions and millions amount of like millions of dollars, and therefore like corporations just had to push back, and the people that had money had to push back against the people. I mean, there's enough stock to go around. Stock doesn't necessarily work that way in the sense that it's limited. It'll just drive up the price of the stock. And that's what the people on Reddit did. And the backlash that they're facing now is from like people that have a lot of money and have
But they
lost a
only
lot of
said
money.
there's only certain numbers of share that a company has. You
Yeah,
know,
but I mean, they could create more shares of the company.
they
You could
can
divide a
create
company
number of
down.
shares, but that takes a decision. Usually, and that one can be done. Very. They have to be made. That's a major decision the company will have to make. It can't just happen. Just because we ran out of stocks, let's just make more. No, the company have to like vote, like the shareholders have to come together and make a vote and consensus, and the CEOs have to make a decision to make that happen.
I personally think that like all corporations need to be brought down, to be honest with you. I mean,
I mean,
hey man, it's like the
I mean,
David and
mostly
Goliath fight.
corporations are too big, and they are corrupt, and these companies been doing the fucked up shit for a long time, and yeah, it definitely does need, and a lot of the shit that they do need to be taken down, and they do need to be bank and go bankrupt, and a lot of them are becoming bankrupt, and eventually, but you know what? How we vote as a people on what companies succeed and what companies fail is by buying stocks and buying the products,
Hmm.
and that's why I tell everybody pull your money out of big banks, put your bank money into these smaller banks or into stocks. And then that way when you put your money into stocks, you know exactly what company you're investing. You're not just leaving the money in the bank for the bank to be like, you know what, we're going to buy a new oil drill. We're just going to get the Shell oil to buy a new pipeline to Canada and right over top of Native American lands because the big pipeline that everybody been protesting, it was paid for by banks, and if everybody just took the money out of the big banks, and that they would have had the money to build the pipeline. So of all the people that were protesting the pipeline, change what bank they was using. This Wells Fargo, or they stopped using those big banks that funding the oil companies. Maybe the oil company would have the money to finance it to, you know, without the bank backing them, they wouldn't be able to do that. And see, instead of that way, the companies that are messing up the planet, you can affect them by taking the money out of the stock, taking money out of the bank account by deleveraging the bank. Like you can literally like destroy, and not all, but Some companies are good. Like one person can't build. One person can't build a car by himself. One person can't. Like it take a lot of people working together to accomplish things. Like
Do do we
um.
need cars?
I mean, I guess we don't really need cars, and I guess we don't really need um. But in
I mean, we
order,
do need cars
we do need
because
we
that's
do
the
need.
way.
But the thing is, like, a way that we has the amount of people that we have on this planet, we do need
Mhm.
some type of organization to be able to feed them. Without
Yeah,
farms, people will starve, and without corporation, we won't have farms.
yeah, that's true. So
And,
okay,
I mean, we could have local farms, but these small local farms ain't gonna be able to produce enough food to feed the Earth populations.
true. That's why I think it's important for communities to be self-sufficient and self-sustaining. You know what I mean? But that would require people to actually engage in community. And the way we're so divided now, it just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, unfortunately. So, like, what are, I want to hear about Eric the Goat guy because this meme fucking cracked me up for a long ass time. What is with the goats?
So I have a goat that's actually a service animal. It's a service animal. So he's a registered service animal, meaning that he's registered by the state to provide a service to me and or the community. And not only, but the service animal, I feel like I not only was using it to provide me a service, but also the community. Like I use it for a lot of different community activism issues. Like I do a lot. I go like help out with a bunch of community programs and volunteer and like create a lot of activism and things like that. And I was using the goat to create a voice for the community.
Okay.
And so you know, and so I travel all over America doing different activism and stuff like that with the goat, going to protesters, doing helping out community farms and festivals, and going to different places with my goat. Because before I had the goat, I was doing all these things, and building community farms, building community villages, and then I had a goat, and then I don't know the city where I was at kind of like ran me out of town, and I took
Why?
the goat because I was too progressive for what they was going on.
Uh,
Like the
so you
city, like I was like way over. Like I was like, let's build community gardens, and they like, no, I don't think we're ready for that. And they're like, well, let's build like you know, and they're like, I'm building a gasifier, and they like, I don't know what that is. Is it a fire hazard? I'm like, no, it's a new fuel system that's going to revolutionize, uh, how we burn fuel on this country. And they like, so like, you driving around with a fire on the back of your car? I'm like, it's not a fire. Fire is a down thing. Gas is yeah. It's we. I know I'm vaporizing the yard debris into fuel for my truck that you pay me to haul off. It's like people haul me pay
Yeah.
come to the I like people pay me to harvest yard debris from the yards. Like they like pay me like hundreds of dollars, and I pay all these like homeless people to like rake people yards and cut people lawns and like and cut people trees and all this shit. And I was like had all this yard debris that people was paying me to haul off. So I was just like, well, let me just fucking turn in the gas in my truck, and the city thought that was fucking crazy as fuck, and they like wouldn't let me do it. And then And then when I got a goat, they're just like, fuck no, this guy gotta go. You know?
Really? That's fucked up, man. That's crazy. That's your service goat.
Yeah, and so I just took the goat with me, and I fucking left town, and we
So you
went
still
all over
have
the country. Dude, fucking city, fucking Detroit shot him because they didn't understand why the fuck there was
get
a goat in
the
the middle of the
fuck
road.
out of here. Are you
Yeah,
serious?
the police shot him last year.
No way.
Yeah,
That
and
that's fucked.
when the goat got shot, people just don't really care. Like people stopped sharing my memes. People stopped talking about me. I just kind of disappeared into. I feel like I just like.
Oh my god.
But I'm working. I want to get me a new goat. People are like what? People are like confused. Like, why don't I get a new goat? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm working on trying to get back. I'm trying to take care of my mom right now. I'm working on getting back on the road. Like my mom doesn't really want me to get a goat right now and live here at the whole house. You know, like I want to get back on the road. You know, I'm trying to save up for a van. Like I just fucking people burn down my house and fucking dude, like I was saying, like people, I give people a place to stay, and then once I fucking tell them they have to leave because they fucking st- pawning my tools for fucking crack or
That's
heroin or
crazy.
whatever, I tell them they have to leave. They get pissed the fuck off, and they want to come back and they run a fucking break something or of mine.
That's
You know,
horrible, man.
they like you know. Oh, you're not gonna let me steal from you no more. I'm gonna fucking fuck your shit up just to
So
spite.
that was in KC. That was in Kansas
That
City.
wasn't no in Kansas City. They did a story about it because Detroit would it.
Oh my god. That's fucking
Detroit would it.
horrible, man. I'm
Detroit
sorry.
was like Detroit is like we ain't gonna report that people put down your house. Fuck that. That's gonna make a city look bad.
Did you try to sue the city? I mean, that was a service goat, right?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could, but
I'm
the
sorry,
city like
we got cut off. Did you try to sue this city?
I mean the city don't have no money. It's Detroit. They don't even have money to pay the cops.
Man, I don't know what this world's coming to, man.
It's fucking complete anarchy. It's like RDT2, like the anarchy server on Minecraft. That's what it remind me of. Like, have you ever seen the Minecraft anarchy server? How everything get grief.
No, I never played Minecraft.
Well, there's like like on Minecraft, there's like this game where you build things, right? And people build these incredible like bases and temples and like things that like they build like you place block after block after block. So people build these humongous like sculptures and things, right? And they put it on this pub and then people put these humongous pieces of art on like public servers on this game, right? And so what happens since there's no rules, people just come and fuck the shit up for like no apparent reason, just because of anarchy. And that's like kind of what happens in Detroit. You just got people fucking tearing shit up just because there's nobody to tell you that you can't.
That's
Once
fucked.
that's what anarchy is. Everybody want to romanticize about anarchy, the fact that you can do whatever you heck you want. And that's cool. I think that's good that like everybody should have freedom and be able to do what they want to do,
Hmm.
but with untapped with unlimited, like even with like with absolute freedom also means being corruption.
Yeah.
There's a lot of corruption. They're like, so nobody to tell them they can't do drugs, and nobody they can tell them that they can't rob or steal. Like when you have so much freedom, it can really bring the worst out of people.
Dude, so I'm reading this article, man. Like, where are you now at in life? Like, did you find a place to live?
I'm just kind of like floating. Like I'm living in my parents' backyard in a shed and fucking
Okay.
trying to fucking make get back on my feet.
Hmm. Did you ever think about starting like a GoFundMe page? Because I mean, you're pretty
Yeah,
recognized.
I started GoFundMe and I have GoFundMes and I started GoFundMe for a new goat and it weighs like $100.
That was it.
And yeah,
What the fuck, man?
it's like
What's wrong?
and all the people do is just come on my YouTube channel and talk shit. Like
Really?
talking just they like I'm like I don't understand. They just on there fucking talking for fucking petty ass shit. Talking, oh yeah, you robbed Taco Bell for a 50 cents drink one time because you didn't give them enough change. And I'm like, dude, I give them all the change I had. I had like a big fucking trash bag full of fucking change. I handed them to the Taco Bell people, and they told me, "Oh, that's good enough. Just drive it." And then I went back and like, "You never give me my drink." And then everybody got mad at me because I asked for them for a drink that I clearly paid for, or they. But the people are like, well, that change should be enough to pay for a drink. I'm like, it was a humongous fucking Ziploc baggie of change. I just handed them. It got to be enough to fucking pay for my food and a drink.
I don't know
And
what's
now
wrong with
and you
people
guys,
these days.
people pissed off because like apparently con Taco Bell for a drink, and I'm like, who fucking cares if I con Taco Bell for a drink? It's a fucking $1 million fucking $1 billion corporation. Like Bobby have fucking billions of dollars. Oh yeah, I fucking con a fucking $1 billion corporation for a fucking $1 drink.
Yeah,
Fucking who give a fuck?
that's
Who give a
petty.
fuck? Is that like that's so pity? Even if I walked up there and fucking put a fucking picture underneath the fucking drink machine and walked out. It's like,
Dude,
would it matter? Like,
you've
that
been through
doesn't make
some
me a bad
shit.
person. Like, if
You've
I
been
went in
through
there
some
shopless for fucking drink, like, why you give me a hard time about that shit? People are so fucking petty, you know?
because people tend to fear what they don't understand, and like people can be very ignorant and very mean and very fucking bullies, man, straight up bullies, and that's because they themselves feel inferior, so they want to take it out on someone that they think that they could really take it out on, and that's not fair to you, man. That's really not fair to you. Like, I'm reading your story online, and it's that's fucked up, man. You've been through some shit. You've been through some shit, and people need to learn how to have empathy and not take their internalized rage against themselves out on other human beings. You know what I mean? That's fucked up, man.
Yeah, like my house got burned down. My and both my goats got murdered and killed, and I'm sitting here trying to fucking deal with like what is the reality of my life now. Where do I go from here, and how do I help society in the middle of a pandemic where everybody's scared to even come in contact with anybody else?
But what makes you want to help society still after society has just basically shitted on you? Like what is it that you find inside yourself that
And
wants to help society?
maybe that's why people give up on me because it's just like you shouldn't want to help anybody because every time you
No,
try
no,
to help
no.
people,
That's
you
noble,
know,
and that talks about your
because
character.
every time I try to help people, they shit it on me, and I don't know why I want to keep trying to help society.
There's got to be a reason
Like
why,
after
man. There's
going to these community farms and building their fucking windmills and building their off-grid system and building their farm up and tilling the yard and organizing their off-grid like literally I go and I help people build a fucking off-grid farm, right? That was fucking dying. The fucking farm was like their animals were fucking dying. The food was, I get there and everybody's freezing to death. The animals are dying, and I come in and fucking bail them out. and then once the spring hit and they got back on their feet, they fucking ran me off because and I wasn't even trying to take credit for any of it. It's just like what the fuck, you know? You
Man,
know?
and yet you still want to help, man. That just shows the character of who you are. And maybe
You
it's
know?
because you've been through so much shit that you have the empathy and you can relate, you know?
I want to help people. I want to fucking help. I want to fucking help the world somehow, some way. I want to fucking give back to this planet, and I don't know why I got. It's hard, but because the fucking every this and it's scary. It's scary because like anarchy, anarchy is scary. Like the democracy is it's crazy because like people don't know what the fuck they want. People don't know. People are like like and it's so crazy because like everybody these are we are falling into some really dark times. Like there's like there's we the ex that we are we're not talking about on the news, but we have an exponential amount of drugs coming in this country every year.
Yeah.
Like you know the op like one what one like funny thing is that we're not figuring out how to grow more corn or potatoes, but we are definitely figuring out how to grow more heroin at an exponential rate. It's just crazy,
Yeah, it's like where's the priorities at? You know what I mean?
It's like we're using solar panels to pump water into and like we was like I go to these farms in California, and they're still using diesel generators to pump water, and I'm like, dude. And while the heroin farmers in third world countries like I have solar panels, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's screwed up, man. The priorities are definitely screwed up. I think the one way we can get back on track is people need to really take that introspective look at themselves and find the commonality in your story in their life, man. Instead of going off internalized rage and just bullying something that or someone that they don't know or they are choosing not to try to understand, and I think it's important that we understand each other and people need to understand, and we got a message if you want to listen to it. You want to listen to it, Eric?
Oh yeah, we got somebody tune in, even though we got.
Dirty, flirty, dirty.
Shut up. See, that's like the people that troll. People like to troll, and we're having a
I mean, I
serious
don't think that was
conversation.
Charles. She was just saying what's up. She didn't say nothing. It wasn't netted. It was at least it's something. At least it know that like listening.
Yeah,
Even though
people
what the
listening
fuck
for their.
I don't even know what they say. They just memeing. It's it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool, but it diverts from the message. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
It's a bit disrespectful, but
yeah,
because you're talking about some real stuff right here. Like
yeah.
you have a story, and you have a
And
story to
people,
share.
people, people have a lot of issues. They have a lot of baggage. Like everybody have baggage and issues and shit that they have to deal with, and they don't know how to deal with it. And it's the mental illness spreads. So like you somebody do some fucked up shit to you, and then because you been through hurts and pain, you want to fucking do some fucked up shit to somebody else just because you don't know what else to do.
Yeah, it's that cycle,
And
man. It's that vicious
and
cycle.
then it's like a cycle, you get mad because you've been through some shit and you just want to fuck somebody else's shit up.
See, here's the thing. When I was younger, like I dealt with a lot of trauma, and I'd say like in my teens, in my 20s, I was full of rage, and I wanted to get into fights, but I always held that moral character of like not taking on like the little guy, right? Like I would rather fight someone who was bigger than me as opposed to smaller than me because like I'm not that type of person to take advantage of someone. But at the same time, like I was going off of like these traumas that I had, and it took a long time to for me to really understand that and to take a look at myself and say, hey, like you can't live through this, like you can't live through mental illness or you can't live through trauma, you know? And it's hard, man. It's fucking hard, man. It's hard. It's hard when you go through the shit. And unfortunately, like this country does a very horrible job when it comes to treating quote unquote mental illness. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah,
And I hate
yeah,
that
because
word.
but it's but the problem is that mental illness, especially after everything that we this year is everybody got mental illness because of every like this whole country has been trauma. Everybody got trauma,
Traumatized.
especially after this year. After this year, this is fucking everybody suffering from trauma.
Yeah, like some form of PTSD for real. And
I
you
mean,
know, I
yeah,
don't
like
know.
fucking like we got fucking we got everybody suffering from PTSD. And now you don't have to go to fucking war in Iraq or Iran and fucking have PTSD, but like, you know,
No, yeah, I mean that's like a common
I mean, you know,
misconception
you
that people.
just turning on the news fucking will give you PTSD. Fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
and that that's a common misconception that people have is like when it comes to trauma, trauma is really the perception of the event that has happened, and like you know, like in Buddhism, Buddhists like they say that like suffering is a matter of perspective, right? And trauma is essentially suffering. So like I think that like especially with the current climate, like it's just gonna get worse. And unless like someone does something to fix the system that's severely broken, it's not gonna get better. And something has to give, man. There needs to be more empathy in the world. It really does, man. Because I just read your story, and it's like it makes me mad, but it's no surprise. It's no surprise because people are very ignorant and people take out their own internal fucking pain on other people, and it's sadistic in nature. Like it's, I don't know what it does. I don't know what kind of pleasure it brings for another person to fucking burn down someone's house or kill someone's fucking service goat. Like, what does that do for a person?
I mean,
Seriously.
and it's not just one person that did it. It's like each one of the events that was like both goats were killed by two separate incidents months apart by two separate people.
Mhm.
It just happened to happen in like the same year, you know?
So I want to ask you a question. What was the connection with goats particularly? Like, why not dogs or cats? Or, and
I
I
mean,
understand that,
I
like, you
never
like
really
all
got
animals.
along with dogs and a goat.
Mhm.
Like, I want to build a community garden, and I started working with animals, like working with chickens and stuff, and I really like. It's something magical about the connection with these these animals that we don't typically have in our society.
Yeah, yeah,
And
we
there's
don't
like
really
something
typically have them.
magical, like when you hand somebody a chicken for the very first time. You know,
And they're
something that
amazed,
they eat
right?
every day of your life. You eat chicken, but you never held one, you never touched one, you never saw one with your own eyes,
Yeah,
right?
and
And there's
it's
something
got it.
magical to be able to connect, like something that's very been a part of your life. You've been part of you your whole life, but yet you never experience.
I see
You
what you're
know?
saying. Yeah, it's like it brings a certain magical aspect that a person's. You know, imagine a person who's eaten chicken all their life, and then they suddenly fucking see chickens, and they've never seen a chicken, and they get to hold a chicken. I can't even imagine like what is going through that person's mind at the time. Their mind is probably blown.
Yeah, and they never seen a chicken before in their whole life, but yet they went their whole life eating chickens every day. You know, they probably ate chicken of their life,
Wow, what a
and they
disconnect,
know.
right?
Yeah, and yet they never held one, never seen one, never. They far they knew it was a fucking fairy tale. You know,
Uh, I like
you
goats,
know.
man. There,
I
there's a fucking there's like an outside. Well, they're all in cages, but there's a zoo. Well, it's not necessarily a zoo. There's a park by my house that has goats and horses and chickens, and people could come and feed them. And like there was a time in 2019 where I came back from North Carolina and I was going through some shit, and I would go sit with the goats and I would feed them and I would play them classical music. And I know that sounds weird to some people, it might not sound weird to you, but there was this one goat that I felt like I had a connection to. It was like it looked like a really old billy goat, and it was something that I can't even describe how. I guess the word you could use is magical. Just sitting with them and watching them and playing classical music for them. And I don't know. I don't know, man. We need more of that.
and so it's so these animals are very healing. There's something that we need in our life that we don't have. Like something is healing. Like it's like seeing the sky for the first time, or seeing the moon, or seeing the stars, or seeing trees for the first time. Imagine go through your life you never saw a tree. Like it's really healing and magical to be able to have a connection with animal and be able to talk to them. And wild goats are really wise animals, and they've been part of the society for. And just to be able to talk and play music, like all of a sudden, like yeah, you all of a sudden you fucking angry and you want to fuck people's lives up, and then you see a goat and you be like, oh, I want to play music and I want to laugh and I want to, you know, it's
Yeah,
like
it's
it's a
healing.
whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. It's like if you can if you can bring joy to somebody and see like when I travel around like America, like it's really crazy. Like I bring joy to millions of people. Like I made millions of people fucking laugh and cry and think and ways of but as soon as but then but it's hate that I went through all this trauma because I don't want to be I don't want to be a source of trauma for people, even though people want to destroy something that's very beautiful. They want to because of they you know because something beautiful, maybe something beautiful that they had that was beautiful got destroyed, and they
Yeah. So therefore, they want to destroy what's beautiful. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's. I say that there's two sides that live inside of us. There's heaven and hell that live inside of us, and some people choose to engage with that hellish side of themselves. Like that's why I have horns on my profile, right? Just and you're talking to me, and I'm not an evil person, but it just I did that to show that there's this
yeah.
duality that lies inside.
And I
There's
thought I
two
thought
parts
about
of
putting horns on my profile because like goats have horns, and a lot of people think goats are evil because they have horns, and that's where
yeah.
the
That is
devil
so.
thing comes from.
That
You know?
that association is pretty fucked up, man. Because like in real Lucifer, like in the Satanic Church, for instance, they don't believe in eating babies or anything like that. They believe in knowledge, right? Like in the story of Adam and Eve, God,
Yeah.
the devil tempted Adam and Eve to eat from the fruit of knowledge, while God wanted them to stay ignorant to the world around them, right? And currently, right now, if you put that in perspective, it's like we the powers that be want us to be ignorant. They don't want us to be enlightened. You know what I mean? So, like Baphomet. Baphomet was a character of enlightenment. And, I think that these forces need to be in play, like the good and the evil, because they both complement one another, right? They bring
Yeah.
that that separation and duality together into a form of non-dualism. So it's very important, man. And don't stop what you're doing, dude. you know, and I know it's discouraging because right now you don't, you know, right now you don't really have much of what you had before, but just don't let that corrupt what's the goodness that's inside you, man, because you're a good person.
Yeah.
You know, you're a good person. But I don't know what time it is there, but it's 5:20 in the morning here, and I gotta get to sleep. So I gotta wake up at like in 5 hours. But so I'm gonna have to cut this short. But dude, this is crazy because I seen your memes and I'm like, what? And now I get to talk to you, and it just brings a whole different perspective to your story. It really does, man. I thank you
Well,
for that.
go to my YouTube channel. Fucking subscribe. Fucking
Oh,
share my video. Share one of my videos out to you. I don't know to how we have many followers. Just be like, hey, I happen to talk to this guy off of today,
I
and
just I
he's a
just
extremely pretty
subscribed.
cool dude.
I just subscribed to it, and I posted in one of the groups that I'm talking to you. So yeah, man. Let's see what happens. Maybe we should talk more often. You know, I'm following you, so we
Yeah,
could have more
hopefully I
conversations.
get more subscribers. My YouTube is like broken, right now. Like I feel like, but yeah, it went up. It just went up. It just went up to 450. Maybe with your help, I can get up to 5,000. You know,
Yeah, well, I mean, if you have a message that you need to put out there, it's important for
I
you to
want to
put it
put.
out
I
there.
and I need it. And it's just and it's hard to put it out when you discourage. It's hard to put
Mm.
positivity out there when you're being discouraged.
But don't be
You know.
discouraged, man. That's the one thing. Like, there's a quote by a philosopher that says, "They crucify the lonely one," and you know, people don't like people that walk their own path. They really don't. They're intimidated by it. So, you know, you should just keep doing you and keep bringing attention to your cause, man. For real.
Yeah.
It's important. But I'm
I,
heading off
I
to bed, Ben.